guys, Ash here with another champion guide, this time on Norog. He is a legendary champion. He's a skinwalker, magic affinity. But first off, some shout outs to you guys and welcome to the channel. Send some positive vibes, some love your way today. Everybody, we have Daniel Canwell looking for a Bystofus, Norog, Narma, or a Roxam guide. We want a Norog build from Dab. We have Stephen Vaughn looking for a Norog and a Hoscarol. We just did a Hoscarol. Norog and Hoscarol have very similar damage if you're looking for a damage comp on this champion. Joe looking for a Norog, right? Looks like there's no Norog guides because for an old school champion, a lot of requests from you guys. We have Chef Boy RG looking for some Norog as well. And he even says it, no updated guides out there. Well, that's why we made this channel, guys. So let's go ahead and jump into it here. Who is this Norog character and is he any good? Is he worth your resources? A Magic Affinity Skinwalker legendary defense-based champion. First off, his base stats, 16k, almost 17, is not that great for a tank on the HP. His attack is awkwardly 1156 on a champion that attack literally does nothing. He's all defense-based. I have no idea why they did that. Let's get rid of some of that attack and trade it in for some more survivability HP or more defense for more damage, right? It makes no sense. 1299, I would say it's a little bit, less than we'd expect from a legendary defense-based champion. We're looking for, at least in the 1300s. I know he's very close, obviously, but ideally the 14 or even 1500s, right? Speed 106 is above average, so that's good. I want to start with his aura. First of all, I kind of want to answer the question that we normally answer on these guides at the beginning of the video instead of the end, and that is, who should be investing in this champion, right? Well, I would say it's mainly progression players, like a player who has not cleared all content in the game. Okay, and then the second category would be somebody who's looking for a tanky damage mitigator who has block buffs for Hydra Clan Boss, okay? Those, I think, are his best use cases. He does have block active skills on his A1 as well, 60% land rate, not bad on a single hitter. His passive, though, is why I said that anybody in progression could probably use this guy. I mean it, man. Very good in Faction Wars, very good in Doom Tower Waves because of this passive and the block buffs. Annoying Siphies, annoying Valkyries, annoying Man-Eaters. I could go on and on and on here. Well, you're not going to have to deal with it because he has block buffs on a 3-turn cooldown, especially in the build that I'm going to share with you guys today, which I absolutely love on this champion. His thick skin passive, though. First off, it's really cool that he's immune to stun, freeze, and sleep. That's great. Just perma immune. On top of that, he has one of, you could probably make an argument it's right up there with one of the best damage mitigating passives in the game. All allies under one or more buff, 15% overall damage mitigation. That's a weak version of strength and permanently up there on all allies at all times, right? But better yet, if they have no buffs, like the start of the battle, unless you have like a shield set or a bolster or a stone skin, 25% damage mitigation, the big version of strengthen essentially on all allies, right? And obviously it still stacks with strengthen and increased defense and all that good stuff, right? And then 40% defense in dungeons. Fantastic. One of the best dungeon auras out there for defense, okay? So I cannot articulate enough how good this passive is. You could even make the argument that it's better than a Duchess passive or a Pythion passive, right? Now, granted, Duchess and Pythion are way better champions because of the rest of their kits. They're doing a lot more, right? Reviving and the whole nine, right? Whereas Norog, he's not going to bring that kind of utility to your team, unfortunately. But decrease the damage taken by all allies from AoE attacks by 25%, 15 to get from bosses. Well, Norog has got a 15 or 25, and it includes single target attacks, right? Same thing with Pythion, right? Pythion is going to depend on how many buffs are on your team for his damage mitigating passive. Allies receive 5% less damage from skills for each buff on them, stacks up to 25%. So again, you could argue that in a lot of situations, Norog is better in terms of the damage mitigator than those S-tier legendary champions. I stress he himself is not S-tier, but he has a simple kit, but really good stuff there. I want to take a look at his multipliers here, guys. On the A1, a 4 defensive multiplier, strong damage grading, and then a 3.8 on the A2. I said earlier, kind of very Hoscarol-like, very Grush the Mangler, if we're looking for damage comps with around the same base defense, okay? So, not out of this world. He's really a champion that it's a luxury to build him with damage, but everybody wants to focus on keeping him alive first and foremost. Then you can start working on crit rate and crit damage on this champion. Let's see. They give him a overall grading of 3 on hellhades.com. Hydra, Doom Tower, Dragon, Ice Golem. Again, dungeons. I mean, that's the name of the game with this champion, right? They give him pretty low scores on hard mode. However, I would argue, if you're just looking for survivability, he can help. If you have a slot on your team, he can help you even in hard mode dungeons. The hard mode Ice Golem hits very, very, very hard. That damage mitigation on that passive is good. I'm not going to show you him in Guardian gear today, guys, but you can build him really tanky and throw him in a bolster, a shield, or even Guardian gear to soak up damage. The only downside there on bolster and shield is his base HP does not lend itself well to scalability, but if I was running him in a hard mode as just a passive damage mitigator for the most part, I'd probably want to try to get more utility out of this champion as well. So, you know, maybe Bulwark Mastery or Guardian gear, something like that, you know. Anyway, it's a little bit more of an unorthodox build. The one I'm going to show you is more of an all-around everywhere. Frostbiter, Eternal Dragon, Celestial Griffin, good scores there as well. Okay, we covered the multipliers. Let's go ahead and show you how I built this dude, right? So, Mr. Norog the pig. First of all, man, he's a big oinker, isn't he? He really is. We put him in Reflex. You guessed, I'm sure some of you guys guessed it, right? Reflex is going to have a 40% chance to reduce the skill cooldown by random. Well, it's not random if they only have one active skill. It's always going to go to Ice Pillar. Ice Pillar awkwardly has no freeze or anything in it, right? Wouldn't you think there'd be some freeze there too, a chance at freeze? If they wanted to buff this champion, which I think he does deserve a buff, honestly, I think the easy way would be the base stat adjustment. Get rid of the attack. I have no idea. They normally don't do this. They normally don't give high attack or even like moderate attack to champions that there's no reason to have it on them. So I would rework those base stats, give him more HP, maybe a little bit more defense, one or the other, maybe a little bit of both. And I would also go in there and add maybe a chance of freezing on the A2, right? It wouldn't break this champion at all if there was like a 50% freeze there. It would just help you control waves a little bit better with him and give him more versatility, you know? Plarium, if you're watching, take notes, huh? So the block active skills, the block buffs requires accuracy, right? So we want to make sure we build this champion with enough accuracy. Reflex is going to allow us, especially in Hydra Clan Boss. I would say this is more of a Hydra build, but you could use it in Faction Wars and Doom Tower Waves as well. It gives you the luxury of basically with the Reflex, hopefully in a lot of scenarios, bringing this down to a 2-turn cooldown for all intents and purposes, right? That allows you to keep block buffs up almost all the time, you know, provided that you have a provoke down on the Hydra heads. It's really good, right? I mean, it's perma block buffs, essentially, with the Reflex set on. So that's why I love this dude in Reflex. I built him in a very overall kind of build. I didn't try to stress the damage on this champion, but you'll see he can still put out decent damage, even with these stats. So HP on the gauntlets, defense on the chest, speed on the boots, accuracy on the banner, HP on the amulet, and defense on the ring. What I would change, if you're already endgame or approaching endgame with this champion, you want to use him just for Hydra, for example, and you can keep the team alive already, I would change the gauntlets out for probably crit rate, and I would change the amulet out for crit damage. Those are the only changes I would really make to this champion, because we have the luxury of building him for a little bit more damage. You have 58k, 4400, 236, 7121, and 378. Stat priorities on this champion, again, are going to be defense, accuracy, and then after that, speed, okay? For his blessing, we have Brimstone on this champion. I think it's the perfect blessing for this champion. He has a 6,000 HP bonus. He could use it. And he's at accuracy by 50 as well, which he could also use. We have a 60% chance of placing a protected smite. The reason it's a perfect blessing is because we're already building him with accuracy to land the block buffs anyway on the A2. So he's a great smite candidate. If you want to use a champion like Norog inside the arena, you could even go with Polymorph, right? He's not a champion you typically see in the arena, but for, you know, just farming your Great Hall, if you want to build like a crazy fast Norog, his base speed at 106 actually gives you the ability to do so. If you want to have some fun, throw a curveball at your opponent and go into those teams. They're going to be heavy buff go second teams with an Ice Pillar. Frankly, I wouldn't build him like that. I'm saying you could, because there's so many cleansers out there that, you know, they're probably just going to have their Mithrala cleanse the block buffs away anyway. So you go through all that trouble for what, you know? You could put him in a go second team just for that damage mitigation on thick skin, but there's just so many better, like Pythion and Duchess and Ursuga, champions like that. Even a Vogoth, I think, is probably a little bit better in the arena with his passive, the healing passive. So I don't really look at him as an arena champion, but you could if you wanted to, right? For Masteries, we kept it pretty basic here. We went offense and defense. We went down to War Master here. We did, you know, take the first hit in every round. Selfless Defender. He's pretty tanky. He can take a hit anyway, so I like mitigating damage in case all of our skills aren't on cooldown or whatever going into a wave. So we went with Selfless Defender. We did go with Retribution so we can land those block active skills on the A1 as well. And then we just kind of came down here. This is actually an old Mastery build that I had. I don't see any reason to go for Cycle of Violence. Let's just redo it together here, guys. Let's pretend that we were going to go support and offense. Not pretend, let's do it. So we'll go, it's almost like I made it more complicated than it needed to be, right? We'll just go Heart of Glory, come down to Single Out, come down to Bring It Down, keep coming down to Methodical, and then go down to War Master, right? Pretty basic build here. On the support side of things, we'll go with Accuracy. We'll go with Charge Focus, Swarm Smiter. I don't have any basic sets. Oh, I do have a Lore of Steel. I'm actually going to go Cycle of yeah. I'm going to go Cycle of Magic and Lore of Steel. Cycle of Magic is pretty cool to have alongside Reflex, because we get another 5% chance of decreasing the cooldown of a random skill by 1 turn as well. So it's pretty nice. It kind of stacks on it in a way, right? We have Master Hexer to extend the duration of those block buffs. I mean, that's what we're trying to do with all this stuff, right? And then we can kind of fill things in. I'll go with a Sniper to increase the chance of him placing that block active skills on his A1 to 65% chance. And then let's just go with Arcane Celerity. And I think those are pretty good math. So I think these are actually a lot better than the defense and the offensive tree. But, you know, go with what makes sense to you and the team that you're using this champion on, of course. So that is the build, guys. We talked about the Blessing. We talked about his Masteries. Let's go ahead. We have Faction Wars open right now. Let's go Skinwalker, and let's go Hydra after this. So Skinwalker, let's go stage 21. Sun Wukong, Norog. I think this is a pretty good score. We're kind of shy on the damage. Let's put Nishak in there instead. We don't have a Reviver on this team either. If I take out what's-his-face. As much as I love the Cackler, let's take her out and put Mighty Uko in there instead, so we have a Reviver just in case anybody goes down here, right? But keep in mind, what's nice is oh man, I hate when he starts out with the increase, the stupid increase speed, his A3 there. All right, so we'll blow through these waves pretty quickly. I'll come back to you when we get to the red boss. All right, guys, here we are at the red boss. So the thought occurred to me is, even though a lot of these champions were, you know, for the most part fusions or whatnot, it's probably not the easiest team to build. But the nice thing is this red boss does a lot of damage. And it has the life swap as well, right? So it can be tricky, especially for progression players, to kill the boss before you get to after they use the first Medal with Fate, before you get to the second Medal of Fate in 12 turns, right? And then you're just kind of stuck in a loop, you know? So that's why we put Nishak in there to help us out with the bomb damage and stuff like that, to make this battle a little bit faster. But the nice thing is Norog would come in there in such situations and at least help keep your team alive with that passive. Again, all that damage that we're going to be taking. It looks like we might be able to get him killed before he actually takes a turn and is able to swap HP with us here. So let's see. I'm going to show you a Hydra. So, I mean, the cool thing about Norog is he really fits in pretty much any team, right? He fits in like, okay, they do go with Medal of Fate, so now the clock is on, right? Now we can finish this job. He fits in really any team because he's almost like a flex role, which is a good thing and a bad thing, right? I would say overall, if I had to rank this champion, I'd probably put him like a C average, you know, just because he's not bringing anything like absolutely instrumental to the table. is bringing some nice to haves, right? Like that awesome passive, right? Block buffs is great and it is instrumental, but there's champions like, I don't know, Ugo, epic champion, that has block buffs. There's a champion like Umbral Enchantress who has block buffs on a 3-turn cooldown for 3 turns. So it's not like there's a massive scarcity of those champions, whereas that's kind of what hurts Norog, and that's why I really do think he needs a buff. Not because he's a trash champion. I don't think he's a trash champion. But because I feel like for a legendary, he could serve a little bit more utility if he just added a little bit to his kit, right? So there goes the red boss. You can see Norog again. He's not going to be a big DPS built on a team like this, certainly, but Nishak carrying the heavy load there in terms of the damage, and Hakorn coming through with some heals as well. But Norog, that passive, it's about that passive, right? So let's go ahead and jump into Hydra Clan Boss here, guys. I'm going to go Hydra hard, and I'm going to run, I put this team together here, Norog, Tagore, Contra, Lydia, Husk, and Inquisitor Shamil. We're going to go in here. He's going to be our block buffs champion, obviously, and he's also going to go in there and mitigate damage. Keep this team alive a long time. That's going to be the big goal on this champion. Little guy's in here. Hey, what's up, little guy? Do you want to say hi on your first day of school? Say hi. Say hi.
Hi.
Charlie said hi. All right, so let me see what the boy wants and come back to you guys after this run. Again, he's going to be primarily there to mitigate damage and land debuffs for the 15th time this video. So you want to show him the kitty? Yeah? This is our new kid. He's not even new anymore. How long have we had him? Like 2 months, you think? 3 months? He is our 6-month-old kitty. His name is Little Guy. All right, guys, we'll come back. We'll come back with the big guy, the big pig, in a little bit. Hopefully this team can kind of right the ship here. I'm looking at it right now, and it's like we need Contra to land her provokes ASAP. But I have confidence. I have faith in this team. We'll come back to you guys. Hopefully we can one key with a team as powerful as this, and we'll report back soon. All right, guys, so there you have it. The pig put up 5 million damage. Not too bad. Easily a 1-key here on Hydra hard. Kind of just threw the team together. But overall, I mean, the most impressive numbers at the end here is Tagore, 4.4 and 2 million heals, respectively. I like the big pig. Of course, what he brings in terms of damage mitigation, in terms of his debuffs, block buffs, on that 3-turn cooldown, it does not show up on the stat sheet. So overall, I would call him maybe a C+ legendary champion if you could use that sort of a kit. Go ahead and invest with confidence, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Keep the champion guide requests coming. Thank you again for 20,000 subscribers. I appreciate you all. And as always, take care, guys.